I'm going to walk you through why a 98-inch TV might actually be the right size for your living room, and more importantly, why the TCL QM7K could be the sweet spot between a cinematic experience and a practical home setup. If you're still on the fence about splurging on a screen that big, this isn't a hype reel. It's a look at the day-to-day reality, the hidden compromises, and the moments when the TV really shines. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest hesitation most people have is whether a television that large will fit into a normal viewing distance without turning movies into a headache. The rule of thumb many experts cite is to sit at roughly 1.5 times the diagonal for 4K content. That means for a 98-inch panel, you're looking at a comfortable spot around 1,214 feet away. If your couch is closer than that, you might find the image feels a bit overwhelming, especially during fast-moving sports or games where you have to track a lot of action across the screen. On the other hand, if you have a spacious family room or a home theater layout that lets you sit back, the immersive feel is exactly what you're after. Now, let's talk about what the QM7K actually does for you once it's in place. The QD Mini LED backlight, combined with TCL's Halo control system, promises more precise dimming zones than a typical edge-lit LED. In practice, that translates to deeper blacks in a dark room without the blooming you sometimes see on cheaper large-screen sets. I tested it with a couple of HDR movies, Blade Runner 2049 and Dune, both of which lean heavily on shadow detail. The blacks held up well, and the bright highlights popped without washing out the rest of the picture. The high HDR brightness rating isn't just a number. It means you can keep the lights on a bit while still seeing the intended contrast, which is a real convenience for families who don't want to darken the whole room just to watch a film. One of the practical strengths that often gets missed in marketing copy is the integration of the Onkyo audio system with Dolby Atmos. Most big-screen TVs rely on a thin soundbar that barely fills a large space, but the QM7K's built-in speakers are tuned to deliver a wider soundstage. In a typical movie night, you'll notice dialogue staying clear even when the volume is turned down, and the Atmos effect gives a subtle sense of height without needing a separate speaker array. If you're the type who watches a lot of sports, the punchier lows help make the crowd roar feel more realistic, though it's not a replacement for a full-blown home theater system if you're after concert-level bass. From a smart TV perspective, the Google TV platform is a solid choice. The interface is clean, you get voice control via the remote, and Alexa support adds another layer of convenience if you already have Echo devices around. I set up a few streaming apps, Netflix, Disney+, and a niche documentary channel, and the switching between them was virtually instant thanks to the 120,144 Hz panel's ability to handle variable refresh rates. The anti-reflective coating also does a decent job of cutting glare, which is something you notice when you have windows behind your TV. It won't eliminate every reflection, but it's a noticeable improvement over the glossy screens you see on many budget models. Let's get real about the downsides. The sheer size of a 98-inch screen means the unit itself is heavy and requires a sturdy mount or a dedicated TV stand that can handle the weight. Installation isn't a weekend DIY project for most people. You'll likely need a professional to make sure it's safely anchored, especially if you have kids or pets that could bump into it. Additionally, the QD Mini LED tech, while great for contrast, can introduce a faint halo effect around bright objects in very dark scenes. Something that's subtle but can be a distraction if you're a film purist. The TV's native resolution is 4K, which is more than enough for most content today, but if you plan to sit closer than the recommended distance, you may start to see the pixel grid, especially on UI elements like menus. Another practical consideration is the power consumption. A screen this large with a high brightness backlight draws a noticeable amount of electricity, so if you're watching for long stretches or leaving it on standby, your electric bill will reflect that. The on-off standby power is lower than many older models, but it's still something to keep in mind if you're environmentally conscious. Who should really consider the TCL QM7K? If you have a dedicated media room, or a living area where you can sit at least 12 feet back, and you enjoy watching movies, high-budget TV shows, and occasional gaming sessions, this TV gives you a cinema-like experience without the need for a projector. The built-in Dolby Atmos and decent upmixing also make it a good entry point for people who want an all-in-one solution rather